Welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Powercast. I'm your host N64 Josh on this NPC Live, where we get a lot of feedback, a lot of comments from chat as we go through and talk about different topics. And today's topic is going to be on what games are missing from the Switch. Now, and this isn't going to be strictly third party, because of course we're going to talk about games like Call of Duty, Madden, and there are others as well. But there's also plenty of first party games that have not made their way back to not only the Switch, but in some cases we haven't seen some of them since the 64 and maybe even before. And I have a list of first party games so we can kind of go through and check some of them out. But I do want to say what is up to Becca and Joe. How are you? Good to see you. If you're over on TikTok, what is up? We are live on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. And of course, guys, make sure you are subbed. You have notifications on. You can on Twitch. You can essentially ring the bell so that you know the moment I go live. If you want to be a part of these shows, I'm trying to get them in the mornings. That's really the goal, as long as my day allows. And so that's the goal. The goal is in the mornings. It's afternoon right now. It's 12:38, so we're a little later than anticipated. But we are here. We are doing this thing, and it's Thursday, so of course we have the main show tonight as well. But let's start this thing off, because the reason for the topic today is because of the Activision Blizzard stuff that's happening right now in court, and the Activision CEO saying Call of Duty should have been on Switch. I chose poorly. I think the majority of us probably thought a game like Call of Duty would have been on the Switch after the second year, and it was always a surprise year after year hearing that it's still not here. And why? Does it take more work to get it onto the Switch? Of course. Could they have brought on another studio and had them just focus on making a Switch version of Call of Duty? Absolutely. No question. Could Call of Duty Mobile been put on Switch? When we play Fortnite, especially when it first came out, a lot of us were playing against mobile players. And I'm sure mobile players absolutely loved that, because well, we all had controllers, right? And that's just it's not fair. It's not fair. So Call of Duty is one I've always kind of found strange that it did not make its way over to the Switch, even if it was I talked about it on the News Minute, and I think a fantastic way to introduce Call of Duty back into the Nintendo console would have been like a Modern Warfare collection, or just a Call of Duty collection that had some of the favorites throughout the years. We know that the Switch runs GameCube games very well. It runs OG Xbox games, and it even does 360 games and PS3 games very well. So to have a collection of PS3 and Xbox 360 games, I think that would have been fantastic. But yet, here we are. No Call of Duty at all. And of course, I mean, their focus is it seems like it's shifted mainly to Warzone, and that is a constant moneymaker for them, and that allows that's something that's a live service game they can continue to update. But if they wanted more players on Call of Duty Mobile, why not put it on Switch? Now the Switch isn't always online, and maybe that's something to do with it. I don't know. But what I know with Call of Duty Mobile is that it is a very successful mobile game with millions of players making billions of dollars, and it's also a lot of fun. When I go on Call of Duty Mobile with my Backbone, not a sponsor, maybe one day, I kind of don't lose, and I have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun with it. So if you want to be able to dominate pick up a Backbone and go play Call of Duty Mobile, or hook up your Xbox controller or PlayStation controller, you will feel like a god. I guarantee you. It is. It's quite a bit of fun, and to the point that I've even thought about making content around Call of Duty Mobile, because it's just like, is this real life? How am I getting so many nukes? But I would love for that style of game to be on the Switch, and maybe it isn't even Call of Duty. Let's say it's not Call of Duty, but they take some of those older games, maybe the engines, whatever the case may be, and make something specific for the Switch. Why not? Why haven't we seen that level of shooter? And don't get me wrong, I know Doom is there, but there's an empty spot in the Switch's library from not having Call of Duty. And Call of Duty is not the only game that is missing. And I mean, might be a little tough to pull off, but we've seen Doom on there. And I will say Titanfall 2 is a game that should probably be on the Switch. I don't know that it may take some compressing, right? It may look a little rough, kind of like Doom, but Titanfall 2 is such a fantastic game that for more people to be able to experience that Call of Duty style gunplay with mechs, fantastic series. And of course, Apex is over on Switch, and it's running okay, and it's in the same world as universe as Titanfall. So Titanfall 2 would be a great addition. The first Titanfall game really didn't have a campaign. It was basically a multiplayer game, strictly a multiplayer game. A lot of fun. Gameplay is top notch, but again, not really much of a story. Whereas the story in Titanfall 2, I would love Nintendo gamers to have a chance to play Titanfall 2. It's just that good. It's so good. Like, even just thinking about it, I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of almost getting the itch to play through it again. It's so good. So that's another one. As I was thinking about giant mechs and robots, Transformers, War of Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. I talked about them recently, but they are games that are missing from the Switch. They should be there. The thing with the Transformers games and the online is they feel like Transformers meets Gears of War, and it is a fantastic multiplayer experience. Not to mention the story and the overall gameplay of both of those games are fantastic. And it seems like they would be right at home on the Switch. Do a collection. And don't get me wrong, I love new games and new IP and all that. But there has not been a Transformer game that was done as well as War and Fall of Cybertron. They're just that good. And if you even just want to kind of get in your feels with a little bit of Transformers, go and watch the trailers for both of those games, especially the second game. It is done so well. And if you're a fan of Maynard from Tool, he's the singer in the song that they chose. I'm not going to say the name of the band because I actually think I would have to put the explicit explicit content on for just saying the name of that other band. But go check out the War for Cybertron. I believe it is. It's either War or Fall. I can never remember which one's the first one and which one's the second one. But the trailer for the second game is absolutely top notch, and highly suggest checking that out. It's good, and the gameplay is great. If you have an Xbox and you've never played it, or a PlayStation, I highly suggest. On the Xbox One, when they re-release those, because these are 360 games, I bought the second game, and periodically we'll just pick it up and start playing through the storyline, because it's just, there are moments in that game that are like, this is what I dreamt of doing with my toys when I was a child. And so I love jumping in and playing those. So other games that are missing, Madden is a huge one. Year after year, we talk about, where is Madden? FIFA was shown from the birth of the Switch, yet we have seen nothing from EA. And and Madden. Not a thing. And chat, of course, you guys let me know some of the games that you think are missing. And we're going to get into a major list of first party games that are kind of nowhere to be found and that I think should be on the system. But Madden and a few other sports titles not found any love from EA on the Switch. EA has plenty of other games out there. Like I said, FIFA, a lot of the racing game. There's plenty of racing games. Need for Speed, Burnout is there. Apex is EA. Yet Madden gets no love. And honestly, like it makes me sad because the ability to play Madden on the go is really what I've wanted for so long, because I'm a huge fan. I've even played a little bit like competitive Madden. Now not like on a high level or anything, but I've done a few tournaments and stuff, and it was a ton of fun. Like something I thoroughly enjoyed. And I miss just not having it on the Switch. Having MLB The Show, which was one of the biggest shockers ever, that it was going to be on more than just PlayStation, and then made it over to Xbox and then Switch, also was so shocking and so surprising. But that title is one that I play with my dad. Now we played on Xbox, and because he it's funny because he really enjoyed the better graphics, especially in the newest game, and having it on Game Pass just made sense. But the sports titles are what I grew up with, and playing those with my dad all the time was something that was commonplace. And I know that if we had the ability to set up the tabletop mode and just play Madden together, we would. There's no question there. So Madden is a big one for me that I don't understand why it never made its way to the Switch. There's a handful of other of indie games. There's a game you guys have heard me talk about many times, which is called Braid. It is such an amazing indie title that would, and it's very inspired by Mario. Like, you play as a character that's very similar to Mario. You jump on creatures that are very similar to Goombas, and yet never made its way over to the Switch. And it makes me sad because it has one of those twists in the story that is just so good that I want so many people to experience it. The gameplay is super fun with the rewind mechanic, and it's top notch. But it's, again, one that people are missing out on. And it did see a little bit of love on the PlayStation 4, I believe it was. It kind of got a remake and stuff over there, but has since never seen any more love over on the Nintendo side of things, and it makes me sad. Well, let's jump into what are some first party games that that have not seen a lot of love, or in some cases have only seen ports. Now, the first one that I see is 1981 Donkey Kong. Okay. Now, of course, I'm not talking about the arcade game, but Donkey Kong Country, all we've seen is the port from the Wii U. Why not more? Why not more from Donkey Kong? And I just had somebody tweeting at me. I want to pull up my phone real quick because they said they had just gotten back into the show. Let's see, at Pitsy Gaming. Okay, and we're gonna do a little shout out. Looks like Pitsy Gaming does have a YouTube channel. So doing a little shout out just for chatting with me on Twitter about NPC. They said, can't wait to listen. The only wish though, my only one wish though, show DK more love. I'm a huge DK fan. So I'm asking the question, where's the next Donkey Kong Country? The Switch has a number of Donkey Kong games already, including the original Donkey Kong Country, and I believe the others as well. I'd have to go double check, but I believe they're there. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which is top notch, but there are a few other remakes and other games. Donkey Kong 64 hasn't made it over yet, which some people love, some people hate. I'm on the that game's got a little nostalgia for me, so I will say that it was a time in my life where I was very young, didn't have a lot of money, and it got played a lot. I played all the way through it because it was like, this is what I got. This is my game right now. This is the new one. So even though it wasn't my absolute favorite, I still made the most of it and enjoyed it. But where's the newest iteration of Donkey Kong Country, and why Why haven't we seen anything yet? And is it one of those things that because of the popularity of the Super Mario Brothers movie that maybe the next Donkey Kong game is going to be a launch title with the next system? And just having the, knowing the low sales numbers for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on the Wii U, just moving that over to the Switch was enough to just have one Donkey Kong title for the current console. But I would love to see another Donkey Kong game very soon. Moving down the list here, we have Excitebike. And Excitebike's a tricky one because what do you do with Excitebike now? Well, I have a few suggestions. Maybe Excitebike becomes 10 players, 12 players, many more players, bigger tracks online. Don't change the overall formula all that much. That Excitebike to Excitebike 64 was drastic. And I don't know if you guys remember playing Excitebike 64, but you could always hear Sarah Hill crashes again. Sarah Hill. That was one of the characters in the game. And the announcer would always let you know when you crashed. But what if Excitebike was brought back, but like, 100 players or something just kind of crazy. I think there are some very cool things that could be done with some of these classic games to make them not only modern, but to see them kind of reimagined in a way. I would love to see what a pixel art Excitebike would look like now. This wouldn't be a $70 game. I'm talking about like something to add to Nintendo Switch Online, kind of like Mario 35, right? That's what I mean by so many players. Not just a $60 Excitebike game that looks like pixel art. No way. I don't think the market would want anything like that. But to see some of these older games get some love, similar like Mario 35, I think it's great. And I mean, and that gets me to the one of the Wii U ports that we never saw, or 3DS ports that we never saw, and that's NES Remix, where you get to play some of these games in different like completely different experiences. It was a race against time, or maybe the weather actually changed in some of these games, and they did some cool reprogramming and of adding new things to a lot of those older games. And NES Remix is 100% a game that should have made its way over to the Switch. In fact, I will go out and say Nintendo, it should have been added to Nintendo Switch Online. NES Remix should be a game that is on Nintendo Switch Online that is essentially free to play, and that we get to compete against each other. Some of the real fun I had with that game, honestly, was sitting down with my uncle, and we would just start knocking out each of the missions. Beat this level in Mario under this time, do this many jumps in Excitebike, clear it under this score, so on and so forth. It was just little mini games based on the older NES games that were, I mean, it was stellar. It was stellar. And unless you played it on your 3DS, maybe you played it on your Wii U. If you're listening to the show, you probably had a Wii U, but I know there are a lot of people that, the Switch got them back into gaming, and they're missing out on some really fun games that not only would help just boost NSO sales, but would give us something to do as a community. And that's huge for me. So the next one on the list from 1984 is Punch Out. Now this is the arcade game, but where's Punch Out? We haven't seen Punch Out since the Wii. And it was a fantastic outing. And of course we have Arms, and Arms for some people was the Punch Out replacement, but not for me. I miss Little Mac. I miss the animation of Punch Out, especially what they did on the Wii U or on the Wii. I thought it was like honestly fantastic. And sure, maybe it launches at a $40 price tag. Maybe it's not your full blown AAA game. And that's okay. That is okay. There's plenty of fun to be had with the Punch Out game. And again, you take some of these classic games, like you could take a Punch Out game and add it to Nintendo Switch Online as a free-to-play game, and create some challenges, throw new characters in periodically, and just make it something that's like, yo, I'm some leaderboards. It can be fun. That social aspect. I don't think Punch Out comes out. I mean, I could be wrong, right? Because the last one came out as a full, AAA release or whatever. But I don't know that again, in modern times, if a Punch Out game really does all that well, unless it adapts and evolves in some shape or form. Going through the list, of course, Duck Hunt. I don't know that it would be. I don't know that would really be allowed in any. It might be a little tough to sell that one, but there's stuff they could do with the IP, right? It doesn't have to just be. It doesn't have to just be the same old Duck Hunt, and it could really lay into the classic art style, the dog, the clay pigeons, and what else could be in incorporated into that. So I see Nady Nay is here. Today's topic is what games are missing from the Switch. We gone over a number of third party, and now we're kind of hitting on some of the first party games that are missing. And just kind of looking, 1985, of course, is when we see the launch of the NES. It's got baseball and Clue Land, Donkey Kong Jr. Math. That's the one. That's the one, you guys. It's Donkey Kong Jr. Math for sure. Of course, Super Mario Brothers is always seeing some love. Hogan's Alley and Ice Climber. Like, is there stuff they could do with Ice Climber? I don't know. I don't know if it's a game that you could come back to and kind of modernize. Maybe there's a chance. In the arcade, there was a game called Versus Mach Rider. Now, Mach Rider is a stellar NES game. I loved playing that with my best friend Eric when we were growing up. And so any Mach Rider love would be great. I'd love to see Mach Rider make its way over to the Nintendo Switch Online, because I do believe it is a black box title from first party Nintendo. Looking through the list, we're seeing things like Kid Icarus. Where is it? Where's the next Kid Icarus? Did the 3DS game kind of put the nail in the coffin for Kid Icarus, or is there another opportunity somewhere for a Kid Icarus game to come back? Is Kid Icarus Nintendo's version of God of War or Hellblade from Xbox? Could Kid Icarus be gritty and a 3D adventure that really knocks it out of the park? Maybe have the teams at Ubisoft who do Assassin's Creed or something along those lines, give them Kid Icarus and allow them to see what they could come up with. Nate says Ice Climbers could be like that Untangled or whatever game from EA. Yeah, absolutely. No question. There could be some fun to be had there. And again, Nintendo could get creative with it, where you you play as what would be the NES version, and then move to the Super Nintendo version, and then a 64 and so on and so forth. Like they could change up the art style based on the year that you were playing those levels of the game, right? I think you guys are tracking with what I'm saying. Like, you could have NES levels, SNES levels, 64 levels, so on and so forth. So I think there could be some fun with that. But would it justify a $60 price tag? I don't think so. Not a chance. Going down the list, pro wrestling. Where's it at? How come it never made its way to Nintendo Switch Online? Ice hockey was also stellar from Nintendo. We got going through. Let's see. Okay, this is one that's huge for me that I really, really hope makes its way to Nintendo Switch Online, and I'm fairly certain it will. But it's Alleyway on the Game Boy. Such a fun puzzle game, and in fact, I don't know. I think I got Pokemon in there, but I think one of my Game Boys around here has Alleyway in it because it's so good. And I had to download it on my 3DS before they closed that shop up. It's fantastic. And again, that's a game that could could be done similar to like Tetris 99. Alleyway could be one of those like 99 player puzzle games, and it would be great. But will it ever see the light of day? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I sure do hope so. Going down the list, like into the 90s, it looks like, you know, we've seen a little bit of love from for Dr. Mario. We had Dr. Luigi a few years back, but looking at 91, of course, we have F-Zero. And where's it at? Where is it? Nate says, I'd love to have old Bombermans. Yeah, no doubt. But F-Zero, is there a big enough fan base for it? Are racing games, is that genre besides Mario Kart? Does it show does it show well? Is it something people would be into? I think a lot of times with this stuff is like, we're like, yo, we want this, we really want it. Like, you know, look at Nintendo Switch Online and we need all those games, but how often do we actually play it? Would the same be true with F-Zero, or could they try to capture the lightning in a bottle that they have with Mario Kart in F-Zero, where people actually want to play on the regular? I mean, anything's possible, but it would take some work. There's no question there. So Nate says F-Zero hype. Yeah, so Nate would be on board with that. Going through the list here just to find a few more. Kirby's gotten tons of love on Switch. Yoshi's had some love, that's for sure. But there's 93 guys from the SNES, and it's Star Fox. Star Fox came out on Wii U, and it crashed and burned, unfortunately. It's one of Nintendo's first party IPs that just like it needs love. It needs to be made well. We got, you know, was it that the Ubisoft game that literally just escaped me, Star something, I believe. The name just slipped my mind, but that was the last time we really had much fun with Star Fox, and it was okay. It wasn't the Star Fox I think we all needed, but also Star Fox needs to evolve. It can't be just that same on rails shooter. Starlink, there it is. It can't be that same on rails shooter that it was back in the day. It needs to be something something much more. But again, could it be a real gritty, you know, bounce between planets on foot to flying and having dogfighting in space? I think it's possible, and I would be all about it. I think it would be great. It's not it. I just saw Wario Woods, which is not the game I would say needs to be like we need anything like we don't need another one, but. And Nate, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but there's Wario Blast featuring Bomberman, so I wonder if that's any good. And Nate says, yeah, the lack of Star Fox makes me sad. Yeah, I just want to see what they can do. They tried with Star Fox Zero, but don't give up. Try again. Like, there's still some of us out here that still love Star Fox. But I looked at Wario Woods, which came out on the SNES and the NES, but Wario Land. We've got WarioWare, but where's another Wario Land game at? And when will we see, if ever, you know, him and Waluigi team up for their own like 2D platformer? I think it could be great. I think it could be great, especially if Nintendo really leaned into it. And this is what I think would be fantastic, you guys. It would probably drive a lot of people crazy, but I think it would be great if they essentially started marketing a Mario game, and the first commercial make it look like a 2D Mario, and then and have the game even start like that, but then have Wario and Waluigi essentially take it over, you know, to where it essentially is a Wario game. Like, so I'll give you an example. This happened to me. I was sitting down to watch Fight Club with my brother, okay? And you'll be tracking with me. You'll understand. I sit down to watch Fight Club. I put the Blu-ray in, and it does the warning, FBI warning, whatever, don't copy this. And then the menu pops up, and I had just pulled the plastic off this Blu-ray, and Drew Barrymore shows up, and it's the menu for Never Been Kissed, And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is they printed the wrong, and then it flickered like twice, and it faded away, and the menu for Fight Club came up, and we cracked a few beers and watched Fight Club. But what if Wario essentially took over a Mario game? And they had a lot of fun with the marketing, where it was like we think we're getting a Mario game, and it ends up being Wario. Now I know some people will probably lose their minds, and it may not be the best idea, but I would love something like that, where if the marketing was tied to Wario being as mischievous as he is. And Crawler over on TikTok says rule number 1: don't talk about Fight Club. Whoopsie. Well, the one that we'll close out on, because I think it's one that everybody would love to see, and that is Earthbound. Earthbound not seeing any love from Nintendo, but now is it the time? Super Mario RPG is being redone. Is it time to remake Earthbound? I think so. I think it would be a fantastic entry, and is it Mother 4? Does Mother 3 get remade? I don't know, but it's a series that I think a lot of people would be very excited if Nintendo brought it back. Will they ever do it? I don't know. It's unlikely. Just a few more. Just looking at the list real quick. Of course, Pilot Wings. I don't know how you do that in a modern world to make it fun. And Nate says, "Meh, Earthbound." I know, he's like, no more RPGs. I need my action. I get it. But yeah, of course, Pilot Wings was very popular when it launched, and there's, I mean, anything from Rare, of course, would now end up over on the Xbox. But I'm seeing Banjo and Conker's Bad Fur Day and so on. Like, there's a lot that would have been great to still see on the Nintendo system. But here we are. Guys, thank you so much for being here live. Of course, we have the live show tonight with Crawler, who is over on TikTok, and Johnny and Cheesy. And we got some fun topics planned for you guys. I cannot wait to hang out and talk games. And hopefully you can join us live on Twitch, YouTube, or TikTok. Much love, everybody, and have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Bye now.